My glasses are crooked.
What's happening?
It's happening.
Oh my gosh.
We are live.
We're doing it and it's unplanned.
Oh my God.
Are you nervous?
I'm really nervous.
Because it's unplanned?
Yes.
Unplanned intimacy today.
So welcome. I'm going to do a little bit of planning. I'm going to announce the show. Welcome. My name is Tziporah Kingsbury, and this is...
Oh, I'm Reid Mihalko from readaboutsex.com.
Yes.
And we're also Instagramming live on my phone, which is right above your computer. Look at all the... Hi, everyone.
So today we are here in what I call the Elevating Conversations. And depending on where you're viewing from, we are going live in, I think, a couple of my business pages. If you're here in the Safe Seen and Confident community, welcome. We go live here every Thursday. But today we have a very special guest and friend here joining us for, as Reid said, unplanned
talk about intimacy. And you are a planner.
I am very much a planner.
And you're very thoughtful about how you plan. And
very meticulous.
And I am not a planner. I'm the opposite of that. And I'm a wing it kind of person.
Yes.
And so this is a nice meeting. This is like, what is it? Is it balsamic vinaigrette and olive oil meeting?
Oh my goodness. Yes. Which one are you?
Oh, I don't know.
I think I want to be the olive oil. I don't know why.
That's fine. You get to choose.
Do I get to choose?
You get to identify however you like.
Thank you.
I'll be the balsamic.
As olive oil.
Okay, great.
All
right. So this is, you invited me onto your show and I'm hijacking it on my IG.
Yes.
What the kids call IG.
Yes.
So I just want to acknowledge you for trusting me with because I do take my marketing and the work that I do in helping people, overcome shame so they can ask for what they want in the bedroom and have better communication skills. You and I have a lot of overlap in the things that we do. And so I do want to acknowledge you for being a yes to not planning what we're going to talk about. And I care about you. I love your work. You've been a good friend for a long time. And like you trusting me with your social media to just kind of wing it means a lot to me. And I think it kind of mimics how we trust the people that we're in relationship with to kind of wing intimacy. Because I think so much about intimacy is just unplanned for most people. Maybe not you all, because you hang out with folks like us, but maybe the people that you date or, the friends that you have, they don't nerd out on this stuff. And so like they're flying blind basically. And it's probably terrifying.
Yeah. Yes. I was having this conversation. Actually, I think it was on a live the other day, and it was, someone was like, how do you be spontaneous in relationship, which, on the fly intimacy here, and without having to be so focused on the outcome, like constantly planning a relationship, like that checklist. And what I found is when you're hanging with people with similar values, like you're understanding each other's value system, what your needs are, there could be less plan involved, because then there's just like a more natural coming together. And then within that space of naturally coming together, then if like people get shaken up, like I was really nervous coming on this unplanned, but I was okay. Because it's like, okay, I know where we're meeting at. And now we can just come into this conversation. But the relationships are the same way.
Yeah. So here's what I'm curious about is what are you tracking that's shifting from 5 minutes ago to now? Because you feel very different right now than right before we hit live.
If you only saw the camera, we need to film what happens before we go live. Yes. So I would tell you first, I'll tell you a couple of things because a couple of things happen. First of all, every time the camera goes on, something happens to me in general, and I go into my facilitator role, right? That's just natural. I've been doing this for 20 years, and it's just like, it just takes over. It does it when I'm speaking on stage. It's my whole nervous system changes, and I feel more centered and grounded because you know what it is? My mind isn't as manic once the camera's on. Does that make sense? Like I'm just like here. It's almost like if I stepped on stage in front of 1,000 people to give a talk, I might have the flutters backstage, but something happens as soon as I step into that space. My system knows what to do. So that's one thing. The other thing, I think, like, here we are talking about relationship, because this can act out in your relationship, but it's also trusting the other person.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I also feel how solid you are, and you're just like, let's just do this. So there is a bit of leaning into that trust in order to come back into my own center and my own trust in myself. That makes sense?
Yeah.
And that was my process. And now it's just like we're having a fun conversation.
Yeah.
Yes.
So for those of you who are meeting me for the first time, there's a thing that I'm known for, a phrase called "embrace the awkward," and there's a whole formula to it, the embrace the awkward formula. And so if you want to go like download the formula, you can go to readaboutsex.com, REID, aboutsex.com/awkward. And because the people that follow me know this about me. I'm very insecure. I'm just very secure about how insecure I am. And I'm like that 7th grader at the 8th grade dance with the superpowers who just knows, like, oh my God, most of us freaking out inside our heads. We're all feeling awkward. And the difference for me is, like, I just have a lot of experience of just sitting with the awkward, like embracing it. And hopefully, not always, but hopefully that 3 minutes later, everyone starts to find a little bit of co-regulation or self-regulate. Like, people start to ground. And for me, the easiest way to get through the other side of awkward is to just embrace it. Like, I don't know what else to do. And so, like, before we hit go live, when you were like all your flutters and stuff, I mean, I've seen you like this, and like, I know that's on the other side of it. And mostly I'm just enjoying, if anything, I tease you too much. I'm having too much fun with the awkward. Like, for me, the awkward even though it feels dreadful sometimes, I've repatterned it. Like, I'm excited about getting to the other side of it. You know, it's like going to the gym or going running. Like, you're like, oh, I really don't want to do this, but you know, the runner's high is just down the road. You know, the workout high is just after a couple of sets or whatever you're doing. And also, I need to stretch more. I'm horrible about that.
Yes. Oh my God. I've had so many thoughts, and now they're like gone. I'm just like, holy shit, focus. I wanted to break down a little bit that fear response, like, in what happens in the body, because, you know, if we take the example before we went on live, is I was spun in these thoughts, and there was a moment I kept going with the thoughts, and I noticed, like, my tendency is I want to be perfect. And if I wasn't perfect, holy shit, what are the viewers going to think? What's going to happen? So that's right, setting off the nervous system. And it happens to all of us in some way. But what I find is when we're able to take, and for me, when I'm able to take, like you mentioned, knowing the outcome, knowing what's on the other side, when I'm able to take just one small step in a new direction, you know, for you, just like press the like button, just press it. That's one small step. So think about, like, for people listening, it's like, think about those areas where you get caught up in those fear responses and start looping in your head, because one small step is all it takes to start to shift what your system's going to be doing. Because you're reframing, you're starting to bring a new experience into your body, and it starts to make a huge difference. And the mind starts to calm, the thought starts to become clearer.
And the thing for me, when I'm teaching folks about awkwardness and getting through it, mostly what I do is I just tell people I'm feeling awkward, which, again, like, oh my God, if I say that, then no one will like me. And that means, like, I'm transported back to 5th grade. And we're not in 5th grade anymore. But, you know, I know a lot of adults who are stuck in 5th grade, right? But it's like, oh, you know, like, if I'm at a cocktail party and I don't feel like I belong, I will usually pick out somebody, you know, and also I'm more of an extrovert than I am an introvert, but, like, I'll pick out somebody who looks like they're not fitting in, and I'll go over and I'll be like, I don't feel like I fit in here, and it's really nerve-wracking. How are you? My name's Reid. And so I'll name the thing that's going on for me. but I've been doing this work long enough and talking to people, because I'm always curious. Almost everybody else is spinning in their own head about something like this. And I was raised in a household where you did not talk about the elephant in the room. So me naming the elephant, petting the elephant, inviting other people to pet the elephant, that has worked really well for me. Your mileage may vary, but it's worked really well for me as a way of connecting with people.
Oh my God, yes. Yes, because same here. Totally. But I think I got that from you like years ago. I remember a conversation we had, and it settled me so much for you to talk about the nervousness or what was going on in your system. And I share the same with my clients over and over again. It's don't pretend, especially for those of you listening in from the Safe, Seen, and Confident community right now. Notice when you're pretending to be something you're not, or pretending like, you got it going on and you know what to do, but inside you're freaking out, because it's only going to make the freak out worse. Your nervous system is not going to be able to ground and center. Yeah. So just by acknowledging, like, I'm feeling really nervous. Yeah. I don't know what to do. I feel awkward. Instantly, like you said, connection. Like instantly the system, you're open up now for intimacy. I always link the nervous system to intimacy, because if we're not regulated, if we're stressed, you come home from a busy day at work, your blood sugar is dropped, for whatever reason, your nervous system's out of whack, you're not going to be able to feel the capacity of intimacy. I know that I speak of, and probably that you talk of, it's like you're going to feel less, because your system, it's not just emotionally guarded, but your whole body is dense and contracted, and not as connected with intimacy, feeling, felt sense.
Yeah. I mean, nerding out on vagus nerve stuff, co-regulation, letting out sound, like all the things, and everyone's different. Like some people are more somatic, whatever your jam is, wiggling your toes, feeling your socks, and being like, whatever gets you in your body, all the somatic practices, go find, like, rummage through the crayon box or the Lego box of somatic practices and pick your favorite. I'm a big take a deep breath, let out sound. That's one of my anchors. Any of those things that helps you, in my opinion, is how you start to connect with other people. And I just name it. I'm like, oh, I'm feeling really nervous. And when I feel nervous, I take a deep breath and let out sound. Like, what do you do? And people are like, what? I'm like, well, what do you do when you're nervous? And so now all of a sudden I'm having a conversation with a stranger, cocktail party analogy, about being nervous at social events, which nobody talks about, but that's what's going on, right? Like, and so it's a great way to connect. Also for me as like a big white guy, I'm naming the vulnerable stuff, which is not how most, white guys try to be. So like I'm being something different, especially if I'm talking to a woman or gender non-binary people. Like when I'm not talking to another white guy, people are like, wow, like I've never met somebody like you. And I'm like, oh, really? Like, who do you usually meet? And now we're having a conversation. And then we're over that little 3-minute hump where things don't work well, or something I've had to learn, is I've gotten so good at naming the elephant in the room for people who grew up in violent households or, with people with certain traumas. The way you kept yourself safe growing up was you never mention the elephant. So for me, kind of coming in and just naming something that can make things worse for some people. I mean, that's a whole other conversation about that.
Conversation. Yeah. Can be jarring. One of my favorite ways to regulate is to actually take a moment to close my eyes and just bring all of my attention to what I call a body scan. And so I just start to focus maybe on the muscles in my arms, my biceps, my triceps, my neck, and my stomach.
Wait, I'm going to do this with you.
Yeah.
If you're driving while you're watching this, don't do this while you're driving. Okay.
Let's do this.
Teach me a wise way.
Okay. So we start by bringing your awareness on your breath and just watching how your breath moves in your body, not controlling it, not trying to force it to move in a certain way. Just feel the breath move in and out. And you're just drawing your attention to different parts of your body. I love to start with the top of my head and just allow the attention to almost drip down over the head, down over the jawline, the face, the neck, and just allow it to trickle down through your whole body. And you're almost just imagining your muscles relaxing and seeing if that's even possible, like 1%. And the importance is you're not forcing them to relax. You might identify tightness in certain areas, and you might stay with that place with your attention for a moment. Yeah. And then you might start to just lengthen your breath, like maybe in for 5 and out for 5. So you're slowing your inhale and exhale down. And so breathing in for 5, breathing out for 5. And the final piece to this, the step, is when your system's ready, when you feel ready, you bring your awareness to your feet, wherever they're at, whether they're on the floor or cross-legged, and just gently stretch your toes and imagine your feet just slightly pushing down into the floor, just as an anchor. How does that feel, Reid?
Feels good.
Good.
As Ralph Macchio said in Karate Kid 4, I feel more centered.
Yes.
More focused.
Yes.
Maybe it was Karate Kid 3.
Maybe.
It depends on if you count the Karate Kid with the woman in it as one of the series, which it's a whole thing.
Yeah, it's a whole different conversation. Karate Kid conversation.
Yep.
So yes, nervous system regulation for connection.
Yep.
Intimacy. I get more turned on when I meditate. Yes.
Well, I mean, it's about, I mean, so many people are going so fast, even during pandemic times, and we're juggling so many things, and we're trying to map out and predict how other people are going to be. Like, we're not necessarily paying attention to ourselves.
Yes.
Like, and actually having like an embodied experience. And so it's hard for other people to connect with us because like we're all whirling and spinning out.
Yeah.
So
I want to bring, now that we're all calm and centered, I noticed the energy just got really still. But I have some other things I want to bring up. So we're talking about nervous system calming. For those of you just jumping in, intimacy regarding the nervous system being regulated. But I want to encourage people to remember to bring this into the bedroom, because how often I've experienced going into the bedroom with an agenda, no matter what gender we are, having an agenda to get somewhere, get someone off, and things are often rushed.
Well, sometimes they're rushed because you only have 15 minutes until the kids get home or whatever.
Yeah. So not in that. We're going to put that aside. Okay. All right. But if you have time, watch yourself and play with the energies where you can come back and just find stillness. Like if your breath is going up to your shoulders, your body is contracting because you're so aroused and heightened, I'm going to encourage you to do something different and slow down and actually bring a gentle breath into your pelvis, but relax your whole body and don't move it. I do it. Like I get so heightened with sexual energy. It's actually when I get still is where that energy has space to move more through my body.
Yeah.
And I don't think we realize that because we're just so going and it feels so good.
So what you're saying is having me think about like, I don't know that I've ever used this phrase before, but like it's more of a grounded arousal. Yeah. So like you give it time to get into people's bodies. Now, for me as a sex and relationship geek and as a nerd, like I love pressure, like weight helps me get in my body. And I don't know why the image of like when you're cooking on the stove and you have a frying pan and you're trying to like, you put the frying pan's warm or hot and you put the butter in or the oil or whatever, and you want to like get it all across the pan, not just in a pool right in the middle. I don't know why that image is there, but it's like weight is like spreading the butter all around. And so like I'll often have, ask my lovers to like, will you just sit on me? And they're like, what? And I'm like, just like, I'm a big guy, like just sit on my chest. And like, I just need you to be on top of me for a minute so that I can let all this energy move, like fill all of me. I don't know if that makes sense.
It does. I'll share from my own body. Like it does make sense because I don't recognize how maybe heightened, if that makes sense, like how much my energy is rising and I have a lot of it. And in the midst of that, I don't recognize the constriction in my body. So when I get pressure put on my body, at first it might feel a little uncomfortable because I feel my holding on.
Oh.
That makes sense? So I can feel my system holding on. But if I breathe into that pressure on my body and I go with it, the pressure actually feels safe because it feels very supportive to the system. Because now, like if you have parts of your body, like I know I have contraction like in the right side of my back where I know even when I orgasm, it can clench, like it holds on. It's almost trying to control it. So I think we all have maybe spaces in our body where we unconsciously hold and constrict. So because we're holding everything together, we're holding things on. And so that heightened sexual energy actually will increase that holding in those spaces if there's constriction. And so for me, that the pressure works in many ways because it allows my system to feel safe, that it's supported. It brings awareness to me that that's even there. And then if I like go along with it, then I start to relax and breathe into it. And then the sexual energy and that heightened arousal grounds down and moves more through my body. Yeah.
How explicit do you get with your lives? Because I do sex education.
Someone just said, I don't know who they are, but they're really liking it. So we're just doing it.
All right. So as a sex nerd, sometimes the best things you can do during, let's just say, we'll do oral sex. So like going down on somebody, I'll say I'm going down on a vulva. Like as everything's going and like everyone's in a good jam. Sometimes the best thing to do is to like, don't take your face off the vulva, but just stop everything and let the person that you're going down on, let their body and their arousal catch up with all the stimulation. So sometimes like the best way to increase the pleasure is to be still.
Yes. Thumbs up for that. Yes.
And we don't think about that because so many of us who are visual learners, and now that we have the internet, like we're going to porn to get ideas on how to do sex and like trying to get better. And I have many friends who are adult performers and I love them all. But like trying to get better at sex from watching porn is like trying to learn how to be a better driver from watching the Fast and the Furious. But we know we're not supposed to be driving like Vin Diesel or The Rock. Yes. But we don't have that kind of literacy when it comes to porn. So like we think eating pussy or, giving a blowjob or fucking needs to look these ways. And even with like penetrative sex, like sometimes, a lot of stimulation and then just pause and let everything catch up. And that can be really great. Yes. But we don't talk about these things. And so some of us are trying to do our best copying what we see, and porn is an entertainment medium in the same way that the Fast and the Furious is an entertainment medium, and you're really not supposed to be driving like Vin Diesel.
No. I want to share, so 2 experiences, giving and receiving. So slowing down does a couple of things. I know that I've experienced people, it is that mechanical.
Mm-hmm.
So they'll go in really fast, wanting to get me off, like with that idea of getting off. And it actually hurts, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's so heightened, or there's nothing built up and the energy is just so thick on top.
Mm-hmm.
Am I even making sense?
Yeah. That makes sense to me.
But it's just very mechanical, and going in, like, say, spreading the labia, going in for the clit. Like, it's just like, what are you doing? Like
too fast, too soon.
Too fast, too soon. Yeah, way too much. Whereas if there's a slowing, like for me in my body, as a woman, like slowing down, and when breath, around the inner thighs, or licking, or like you mentioned, just lying still, it gives me a chance to feel my own body. And I will say, like, just my style is, I orgasm most often. I mean, I get aroused when I sit still for an hour and meditate. Like, I can orgasm like that. So that tells me a lot about my nervous system. Like, so that stillness is where
I can't, by the way. I wish I could orgasm from meditating, but that's not my life. Not yet. Om Shanti Shanti to all of you who can get off by sitting still. Not this guy.
Sorry. So that's my personal experience. But when I'm also giving oral pleasure to a male, is I actually love using those same techniques on a man. And I think as a female to a male, that's also not always thought about. It's a lot of just, in and out, like really hard, or putting the, I just like totally censored myself.
That's okay. It's your audience.
Yeah, like, oh, wait a minute. Where am I going here? It's Reid.
It's me.
You all understand. So that's just coming out of me now. But so when I'm able to slow down and, use my tongue around the outside of the penis, breathe, even look at the person in the eye, and connect, and, play with the inner thighs, and just take that pause. I don't know how much feedback I've gotten on that. That's been new to a lot of people. And that's just, they're able to feel that much more pleasure. So your lover can even discover so much more pleasure.
It's not in that. That's the thing, is it's not about, there's so many different ways to talk about this, but so there've been some interesting studies about if you move to a new neighborhood or a new city, how do we learn best? And driving around real fast is not how you get to learn a city. The studies show that going for a slow bike ride or walk is how most people absorb information best to learn. And so then other studies have kind of indicated that it's also similar with sensation. Is there are times when we're so aroused that really fast sensation and stimulation is what's needed to kind of take it to this next level. But for most people, everyone's different, especially starting out, slow allows you to feel more, and often helps you get into your body more, so that you can so the arousal starts to kind of build versus what we think. And then for those of you who've ever kissed a bad kisser, and they just go for it, and they're trying to it's all tongue and it's they start too fast, and they're not hearing your body. And so generally speaking, slower is better almost always, until what somebody really needs is, I need you to really pound me or go faster, or my body needs this other thing. And that extra stimulation works best when it's built on the layers of people already being in their bodies and being able to feel you. And so everything you're saying is it's that, but that's not what we see when we watch porn. Because somebody's slowly eating pussy for 30 minutes because that's what that person needs. That's not what people film for porn, right? So we have all this mixed messaging, and then people actually don't know what their bodies are capable of, because they don't take either they don't take the time or they don't give themselves the time, or both people are rushing because they think that's what we're supposed to be doing. We're supposed to be creating all the stimulation.
Oh my God. Yes.
Rather than the space for things.
Yes. Yes. Well, first of all, I do have a handout, which I don't have the link to, but I will share it later, called The Art of the Kiss. Ooh. And it's exactly what Reid's talking about. So I do have that, and I will share links later. I'm laughing at your marketing stuff because we just had this conversation yesterday. Like, do you know your links? And I don't, but I have it.
And again, like you're not a bad person. It's just that, like, you know, like when I talk about the Embrace the Awkward formula,
yes,
I made a really simple link so that I can remember it. And that's helpful. And please send me the link so yes, I can share it in the comments with my IGTV people.
So, but I want to vibe off of it. I don't know where that came up, but I want to vibe off of what you just said and take it into what we did yesterday, because first of all, because that's done.
Tziporah.
I know my community is going to be like, "What's going on, Tziporah? We want to be in your community." No, so
we played with horses, everyone. You filthy-minded folk, you.
So, but I'm going to step back before we talk about the horses. Is the fast pace that most people, the world lives in, is, I find also it's happening unknown. Like, people are so conditioned to move that fast and with that much stress that they're just not aware of it. And so that's also why it's going into sex and into the bedroom. It's just a lack of awareness. So thank you, everyone, for continuing to listen to us. And,
I love these conversations.
Slowing down. Horses. So we talk about slowing down. I'm studying natural horsemanship, and all it is learning to communicate with the horse without a rein, without a lead, but with body language. So we have to, like, me as the human, I have to be present and aware to what's going on inside my body, what's going on inside my nervous system, and then be really attuned to what's happening to that horse. And then slowly start to build this trusting conversation. So at first, my favorite horse is Chavez. Yoga Horse Tribe, by the way. So check him out on Facebook. He's a Kiger Mustang. He's very wild. He's very handsome. He's my horse crush.
A horse crush.
I have a total horse crush. He's gorgeous. But when you first going in, so we're in the herd of horses. So they say there's 6 horses. I'm going around slowly trying to get in contact with him, but he's kind of running around wild. And so I have to stay with him long enough to build trust. It's a dance to build this trust. And eventually he'll slow down enough so I can walk up to him. And now we're just dancing together. Like, he's moving his hip, he's moving his chest. If I just put my hand on his side, he'll start to walk with me, like, without any lead or rein. It's just knowing each other's body language. But I'm sharing that piece about slowing down because you had this experience yesterday, and you have to slow down to have this type of communication with this animal. Such an epic way to practice relationship.
Yeah. And I'm all worried. I'm giving all the wrong signals. I want to do a good job. Like all the insecurities that I would have just with people. Like, now I'm with this, I don't know how big my horse. It was a big horse, but I'm like, I want to do a good job, and I don't want to mislead you. And the horse is like paying attention to me, and speaking horse with how it's moving. And I'm trying to it was a lot, and it was so cool and such. And thank you so much for having that idea for us to go do that. But it was like, oh wow, this isn't. It's different, but it's also similar with how we're with people. And also when we're in bed, it's like all this stuff is happening, and you get kind of overwhelmed when you really start slowing down, because now you're noticing all the things you're noticing about yourself and how it's interacting with the other person. And so I think for some of us, that overwhelm, there's so much going on that what we do is we shut down and we just go fast, right? Yeah. And the horses is a great situation, because you can't go fast with a horse. It's like you're like, wow, this is a really bad idea. you know, and so imagine what it would be like if you went slower with people.
Yeah.
It was great.
Oh, yes. I love that. Yes.
It was intimidating.
Yeah. We had 6 horses in the rink, and I've never seen them as wild as they were yesterday. They were rolling in the dirt. They were running around. There was one of them, I forgot the name of the one, but just really just had a lot of energy.
Mm-hmm.
It could have been us. They could have just been like, look at those sexy humans.
I mean, they were like, oh God, who invited this white guy? It's like, doopy-doo. They're like, he's not going to do well. But I think I made I hope I made a nice impression on the horses.
Yes. Yeah. So I just brought that in because I know for me, I go there to practice relationship practices. I go there because I get to identify where I'm scared of my own power, where I'm scared to be more assertive, trust practices. You know, there was one component not this time yesterday, but last month when I went, and I was working with a horse, and I had to be really assertive with this horse. And my teacher, Chris, you know, kept guiding me. You have to go. And you never whip the horses or anything. But, you know, when they're trying to cross boundaries, you learn how to hit the dirt in a certain way. And I was so scared to whip that whip. Like I was like, my body felt so scared because it was just so much power and assertiveness with this big creature. But it was so powerful for me to feel it in my body. And, you know, I think it's the same for dogs, like knowing that I'm not harming the animal. I'm not even touching the animal, but this animal, the horse, actually would feel more trust from me if he felt how solid I was and who I was. And it's the same with humans. You know, how often have you been in a relationship or with someone new and they're feeling uncomfortable? And I think this comes back to what we're saying about saying you feel awkward or don't. Yeah. But if you feel the uncomfortableness, you feel it in your nervous system too.
Well, and I don't know how to apply this to horses, so I'm not the horse whisperer, so please don't. But the idea of what does even feeling solid mean, right? Some people think solid means I don't feel any anxiety or awkwardness or whatever. And for me, you know, and people experience me as being very grounded. There's a whole nerdy conversation about co-regulation and other things. But like mostly my solidness comes from I'm really solid about how wobbly I am. Yep. So like what I'm saying to myself in my head about myself, I would never say to another human being. Like I talk shit to myself and I use the analogy of hamsters and running on squeaky hamster wheels. Like those are my insecurities. readaboutsex.com/hamster if you want to learn about the hamster wheel of death. But like that was the visual that I made up for myself. Is I'm like, oh, it just gets louder and louder and louder, and the hamsters just get stronger and stronger. And so what I need to do is just tell somebody I have my insecurities, and that helps, you know, like let off a little bit of that pressure and quiet those wheels down. And they never, ever completely go away. Kind of like my understanding of meditation. Every once in a while, you're like, oh, I am a deep, still pond, and there are no ripples. And because you notice that you have no thoughts, that's a thought, and then you fuck it up, right? So my insecurities never, ever go away. Yeah. Every once in a while, it might be completely quiet. But there's always like one hamster wheel just kind of going, at least. Yes. But I'm so comfortable with how uncomfortable I am. It's a different kind of grounded. And so like my advice for people is to play with like, or to reinvestigate, like, what do you think grounded even means? Because we have such a perfection model in at least American society that it means like I'm unflappable. And I don't know that I believe that. Yeah, I get that. I think for me too, it's about building a relationship with those parts of myself, those aspects of myself, those places that I judge, or those wonky places and those emotions. I find through bringing attention to them, that's what I consider building a relationship with them, understanding them. So I often tell this story about emotions, that there are friends. So if we've locked friends in the closet, Oh.
Like, imagine what those friends would be doing in that closet. They wouldn't feel safe. They'd be freaking out. And so if I'm able to start to be present, like, could just be bringing my attention to feeling that awkwardness, or bringing my attention to sadness or anger, eventually, if I'm not running away from my own feelings, those feelings are going to shift. So rage might turn into fear, you know, and they might trickle down a little bit, but to eventually they're in my living room on the couch having tea with me.
All those facets.
All those facets of me, but they're more receptive to me because yeah, this is this.
Why I'm laughing is I have an analogy that I use when I'm teaching. It's basically a classroom, and I'm the substitute teacher, and none of my feelings want to give a flying fuck. Like, it's like the worst classroom, in like paper planes and people standing on desks. That's how my feelings feel.
Oh my God. Well, mine starts with rage comes to my door. It knocks on my door. It's full of fire and flames. And I open the door and I just stand there with rage. But rage is all trying to scare me and freak me out. But I don't leave, right? And that takes work and practice. But I stay there with rage. It's so often to run from our rage. And so, yes, eventually they are on the couch with me, not throwing paper airplanes. They're having tea. They're having biscuits and tea with me.
If I could just get my classroom to have fucking nap time. Just like put your hands on your desk.
Classroom. Going back to the tea, but when I could sit there with them now, but it's going back to what you said, I'm not trying to get rid of those things. I'm not trying to, if I was judging those parts of me, if I was trying to fix them or change them, do you think they trust me? Like there would be resistance. Like, what happens when we're trying to fix a person or trying to change someone else? There's going to be resistance. It's the same thing with those feelings or those, I call them aspects of me, aspects of myself. So if I can actually sit with them and be like, hey, what do you need? But get to the point where they trust me because I'm not running for them or trying to change them.
Or trying to kill them off.
It's huge. So yeah, to me, I feel the same way, not to get rid of something, but that's where the centering comes. And I heard something the other day, and I was, because I do somatic therapeutics, I was in an advanced somatic therapeutics training. And there was a new definition of grounded and centered that was given to me, and I loved it. So I believe it comes from the Hakomi method of therapeutics, is grounded actually means you are present and grounded to your environment and the people with you. It's not internal in your body. Centered is being inside yourself. So I'm centered in me, and that means now I'm grounded in my environment, to the people I'm with. It's very much about it's a training on a lot of regulation and nervous system. So I found that very fascinating. That terminology.
I will think about that. That's good. I like the inside outside part of it. That's great.
Isn't that great?
Thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
There you go. See?
You're welcome.
I wouldn't have said that to my audience. Look at all the wisdom you're getting today.
I am wise.
Good job. Good job, everyone.
So I'll just say, for those of you curious more about me and what I do, you can find me at Tziporahintimacy.com. Maybe I should spell that. All right. It's Tziporah intimacy.com. For those of you here on Facebook, tuning in here with us on my channels, if you want to join a community and access free resources and come be a part of guests who come on like this to our community, you can come over to the Safe, Seen, and Confident community on Facebook.
Nice.
Yes.
Yeah. And if any, mostly the easiest way to find out what's going on for me, because I do a bunch of different things, just go to my calendar. So go to readaboutsex.com /calendar, or go to Read About Sex and just click on calendar. That'll have all the latest things that are coming. I'm doing a 6-week ongoing. It'll rotate every 6 weeks. We just started again. For folks, it's called Ready for Reentry. It's for folks who are wanting to get back out of the self-isolation, back into dating, hooking up, all those things. And there's a bunch of other nerdy things going on, but the calendar is usually where it will make the most sense. And then it's Read About Sex on pretty much most social media. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
And for those of you tuning into my community, I will share those links after the fact, and we'll share them on the replay. That way you can find Reid, and any of your handouts that you want to share, you can just send them my way and I'll plug them in for the people.
Yeah.
Yes. Awesome. And then just as a teaser, so I am in preparation. We're going to be offering a 2-part free event based on my book, Revolutionizing Intimacy, Navigating Connection in a Disconnected World. And coming up later this summer, we're going to be doing a special one-day in-person.
What?
No online, in-person for a limited number of 8 people here in the Pacific Northwest in Oregon. So
will there be horses?
There might be horses. We might have horses.
Do you think they'll remember me, the horses?
You know, I can't even talk now. I'm tripping up. Because I was thinking, it's really exciting. You mentioned horses and I get really excited. Do you know elephants remember the human? So I'm curious if horses remember the human. I was thinking about this yesterday.
Mostly, I'm sure if I ever go again, and I do want to go again, they'll be like, oh, no, not this guy again. Oh, boy. You know, maybe they were rolling in the dirt just to try to be like, maybe this will scare him off. Maybe he won't. Maybe. They look like they're having a lot of fun. Thank you again for that. That was really lovely.
You're welcome. So, and I do want to give them a plug. So Yoga Horse Tribe is how you find them. They are only on Facebook right now, community page. They are located outside. Their address is Bend, Oregon, but they're actually in Sun River, Oregon. They have like 18 horses.
It's wonderful.
They have a beautiful, large amount of lands. They're going to be
2 pigs. We met pigs yesterday.
Miniature horses. Beautiful puppy.
Are those miniature horses, those ponies? What's the difference?
Oh, I could be completely wrong. I don't know the correct terminology.
For those of you, somebody Google that and put it in the comments. So, you know, like
miniature horses or ponies?
Miniature horses or ponies. Are miniature horses ponies? Oh, they probably don't like
pony.
that. They like, don't call me a pony.
They want to be a horse.
I don't know. I mean, hey, that's a lot. See? All over the place, but this is unplanned intimacy, everyone.
Unplanned.
How did it feel? How does it feel?
This felt good. Yeah. Thank you for joining us. I feel really good, and I want to do this all the time now. Yes.
You give good winging it.
Do I?
Yeah.
Great.
There you go.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for joining us.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thanks for having me on your show.
Thank you for being here.
Oh, I have to turn mine off too. Bye.